Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, India's benchmark stock indices, they ended at record closing highs on Friday, with the Nifty extending the gains for the 12th straight session, marking the best rally since its launch in 1996. For the week itself, the Nifty ended with gains of 1.6%, which turned out to be also the third straight weekly advance. The index has also managed a new record high of 25,268 on Friday, and we managed to close around 25,250 odd levels as well. That's despite the selling pressure being seen on some of the heavyweight banking counters like HDFC Bank. And now the index has recovered almost 4,000 points from the July 23rd lows, which was the day of the union budget as well. So markets look like in a fine fettle. We've started off September as well. Now it will be a big month for global markets. Earnings season will be definitely eyed, and all eyes will also be on US Federal Reserve as to what Jerome Powell and their team decide. Will they finally bite the bullet and begin the rate cutting cycle starting September 17th or 18th? So those will be the important points to track. As of today, when we start off a new week, all the reactions are back home from the domestic auto companies will be important for their monthly sales figures. And of course, during the week, macro data like manufacturing and services PMI will also be important to watch out for. But the big question is, will we continue the momentum that we have set afoot last week around, or will the Nifty pause its 12-day rally before moving higher to 25,400? Good morning to all our viewers and good morning, Shail.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very fine Monday morning beckons us as also the beginning of September. There is a lot of data to be discussed, and more importantly on the Nifty. Let us start as usual with the daily chart. Sakshi's pointed out 12 consecutive days of gains. This is a record ever since Nifty started, and in this 12 days the Nifty has added 4.6%. I have purposely made two other charts for you, the weekly Nifty and the monthly Nifty. All of them are important for different reasons, and they need to be discussed because the rally is now right up upon us, and after 9 months of incessant gains, we have seen the Nifty now up about 16% since December 31st, 2023. Of this 16%, the last 4 weeks have contributed 5.6%, that is 1322 points. And now the rally enters the 4th month in a row. While all global markets go decked up into September ahead of the rate cut which the US Fed has promised on September 17th or September 18th, this needs to be seen. Our rally needs to be seen against the background of a weak first quarter GDP, the numbers that came in on Friday at about 6.7%. versus a 6.9% expansion that some economists were looking at, and of course a mediocre GST number from August, which is the 5th highest ever since GST data was tallying in. So a very sharp rally that has seen the Nifty move at record levels, and a consistent 12-day rise. It has never happened. It has happened only once, and if it happens today, an uptick, then of course it will be a major record. Both Sakshi and I hope that we participate in this record for posterity, but one needs to be a little cautious with all the enthusiasm that is coming in. For the last 2 days, we've seen a very, very high FII number coming in. They have joined hands with our domestic friends to buy into Indian equities. Sakshi will give you the numbers for Thursday and Friday. They are huge and stupendous, but they came because of the MSCI rebalancing index. But that is all that is welcome. Now let us see what is happening as far as the Nifty is concerned. In the options data, you see consistent strong positions being built at 25,000, 25,100 by bulls. That consistently means that there is very, very strong support at these levels, and of course there is very, very strong resistance at 25,200, 25,300, 25,400. Now, should 25,250 be with the bulls today? Let us see whether it scales further up. But like I said, this is now getting to be a little bit too much. We need to correct a bit and then perhaps up again. But for the moment, we stand at 25,235 on the Nifty. This is a record high, a rally that is in its 5th week if it ends in green today, and of course a very strong move coming in on the monthly charts. If you look at how the Nifty has progressed over the last 3 months, it has added 11.6%. So please keep these numbers in mind before you get extremely buoyant. Remember, caution is the buzzword, but liquidity is very strong. Let us see how it happens. A couple of stocks that I'm looking at are, because of the dip in crude oil prices globally, it is now somewhere back again around its February 6th lows. And of course, ONGC is the stock that we will look at, because windfall tax has been cut from 2100 rupees a ton to 1850 rupees a ton. When crude oil prices are down, local MNC stocks, local OMC stocks, oil marketing companies, do pretty well. So keep an eye out on BPCL, HPCL and IOC. BP and HP are already at record highs. Keep an eye out on IOC as well. Apart from that, Reliance should be in great move, because before 5th of September, you'll see the bonus issue playing out in the markets. 5th is when the board approves that. So strong Reliance, strong OMCs, and of course there is no stopping IT. Sakshi, what are the numbers that you have from FIIs, and how has Wall Street closed on Friday? I believe today is a holiday.
Yes, absolutely. So the overseas investors remained net buyers for the Indian equities for the second consecutive day on Friday, Shail, and FPIs bought stocks worth about 5,318 crores. This is on top of the 3,259 odd crore rupees they bought on Thursday. So 2 consecutive days of purchases from their side. While the domestic institutional investors, they turned net sellers after 2 days of buying. They offloaded worth about 3,198 odd crore rupees as of Friday. Now, a rally in the US faded at the end of the turbulent month on Wall Street, as equities experienced only modest movements on Friday despite the volatility in the global markets. August is now has concluded on a relatively calm note. On Friday, we did see the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones ending about 1.1% as well as 0.5% higher respectively. The Nasdaq also settled about 0.7% higher in trade as well. Now, as far as the Brent crude levels are concerned, they were trading about 0.4% lower at $76.6 a barrel. Gold fell about 0.03% to $2,502 an ounce as well. Now, as far as the Asia Pacific markets are concerned, they opened on a mixed note today, with the we did see the Nikkei rising about 0.6% in trade. The ASX 200 was down about 0.4%. The Hang Seng was unchanged, and the Shanghai was down about 0.14% as well. So that's the kind of move that we are seeing across the board in the Asia markets. But a lot of important points that you should be looking at in terms of the stocks. Of course, auto stocks will be in focus today. They've come out with the sales figures as well. For Maruti Suzuki, the total car sales in fact dropped by about 4% at 1,81,000 units. And we've also seen the domestic passenger vehicle sales for Maruti have dropped by about 8.4% right there to 1.4 lakh units as well. For Tata Motors, the total sales have again slipped by 8% to 71,693 units. And we've also seen commercial vehicle sales were down about 15.2% as well. There was also a drop in the passenger vehicle sales too for Tata Motors. For Eicher Motors, again, the sales of Royal Enfield motorcycles has slipped by about 5% to 73,629 units. And we've seen their exports dropping about 2% as well. In the year ago period when you compare it year on year. So all of these three numbers have been subdued. But when we look at TVS Motor, the total sales for the company has grown by 13% to 3.9 lakh units. And we've also seen the two-wheeler sales jump 14% for the company as well. Exports have also surged by about 14% and Hero Moto has also reported buoyant numbers. So, it's been a mixed bag largely when it comes to autos. We will be dissecting some more numbers as well today. Apart from this, we'll also keep an eye out on NBCC. Remember, the Board of Directors has approved a bonus issue of 1 share for every 2 shares held. The record date for the bonus issue is October 7. You should also keep an eye out on SJVN, NHPC, RailTel. The central government has granted Navratna status to these companies, and these state-owned companies will now not have to seek government's approval for investments up to 1,000 crore rupees as well. So that's a positive for these companies. Krishna Institute of Medical Science, or KIMS, has acquired 100% equity stake in Chalsani Hospitals in Visakhapatnam for 28 crores. The Chalsani Hospitals is a 200-bed hospital established in 1995. Keep an eye out on that too. Biocon will be in focus. The company has received a US FDA approval for its daptomycin injection and for valsartan tablets as well. The company has also received an EIR report from US FDA for its API facility in Visakhapatnam. Positive news right there for Biocon. Insecticides India, the company's board of directors has approved a buyback of almost 5 lakh shares. That's 1.7% of total equity for 50 crores at 1,000 rupees per share. And the record date for buyback has been set at September 11. Keep an eye out on that too. Dixon Technologies will be in focus. UBS Principal Capital Asia has sold about 1.1% stake in Dixon at an average price of 13,178, amounting to about 904 crore rupees. GPT Infra will be in focus. The company has been declared a lowest bidder for 204 crore rupees order from Southeast Railways involving the construction of road over bridge. So that's going to be important. Gujarat Gas, you should definitely keep an eye out on today. The company's board of directors has approved a scheme of arrangement and amalgamation involving GSPL, that's a Gujarat State Petrochemicals Corporation, and GSPC Energy, and also GSPC as well, merging into Gujarat Gas. The scheme involves the demerger of Gujarat Gas Transmission business, which will be listed separately at GSPL Transmission Limited. So keep an eye out on that too. And of course, there'll be a new IPO that will be opening up. Gala Precision Engineering IPO will be opening up. We'll be detailing for you some more details on this as the show progresses. Shail.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as good a time as any to get an independent opinion in the market. Mr. Chakri Lokpriya, managing partner at Red Strawberry LLP, joins us. Good morning, Chakri. What a wonderful time on the last street, and an excellent way to welcome you in September. All that could happen well has happened already, and come September, you have a very, very strong lineage when it comes to the Nifty. Of the last 22 years, only 9 have ended into losses as far as September is concerned. So are we headed for better times ahead, or have we had enough time to pay the party bill, or enjoy the party a little bit more?
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Shailji. It's never enough. We always let the good times roll, and I think we will have a good September. A huge expectation now with the US Fed sometime in the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, will cut rates, and that clearly will restart that cycle of interest rate cuts in India. People say that yes, it's too early to cut rates, etc., but one cannot ignore the US moves, and so that will really kickstart the long-awaited capex cycle in India.
All right. Very good morning to you, Chakri. Good to have you with us. I also wanted to understand from you, we have entered the second half of the fiscal year too. How would you approach the markets differently from the first half? We've had some of the major events that impacted the market movement in the first half. Latter half will be, lesser in terms of the big events, mostly on the anticipated lines, probably like you indicated, the US Fed, and then the hopes back home domestically from the RBI as far as the rate cuts are concerned. Of course, the overhang will be on the geopolitical front and the US elections, but still far too less than what the domestic markets itself will be looking at. Will there be a different approach in the markets in the second half?
Good morning. I think what we are doing is basically we're tilting it marginally to global portfolios. So IT, pharma, these sectors which have a global facing earnings, and it's probably time to start looking at chemicals. They're probably a bit too early yet, probably another quarter, and so that cyclicality will move towards the export facing. On the other hand, companies with the government companies, capex still continues to be fairly strong. So there you have to be slightly more careful than you were last year because it's becoming more company specific. And then we will still wait for the RBI as far as private capex is concerned, because I still think it's probably still a couple of quarters away versus, the expectation was private capex would have started sometime now, but it's not happened.
Yes, I think in this entire bull run, one of the most disappointing factors is that corporate India hasn't taken the beating from the government over the last 4-5 years. It's the government that has pump primed the economy by setting up new roads, new ports, better airports, so on and so forth. In fact, railways has been one of the major spenders, and of course all of that has reflected on large parts of the market where you've made immense money. But sadly, apart from Reliance, there hasn't been any corporate expansion in terms of greenfield, brownfield or fresh capacity. Chakri, that makes your task a little more difficult when you deploy fresh money or try to sort of second guess where sectoral rotation will happen. Within pharma, already at a record high, within IT, already at a fresh peak, do you still find value opportunities, or enough is enough?
IT clearly we're finding enough opportunities because US is still very obviously the very early cycle of interest. They've not yet started cutting rates. So order flows from the US to Indian IT companies have not yet really started. So as and when the momentum builds, the business momentum builds of orders coming in, earnings for IT companies, Indian IT companies will start being revised up. As that happens, valuations will become more attractive, and therefore companies like Tata Elxsi, Tata Consultancy, host of all the frontline, actually across IT, will benefit.
Chakri, another thing that I wanted to ask you as far as the auto space is concerned, we've seen the numbers come through. Largely, it's been on the weaker side, but it's some of the two-wheelers that actually have shown through, like TVS Motors or Hero MotoCorp. How are you looking at the narrative out there that demand is slowing down, inventories are higher, discounting is also increasing at this point in time? Four-wheelers versus two-wheelers, passenger cars versus commercial vehicles. How are you really looking at the entire basket right now?
I think basically the same story kind of continues, which is two-wheelers has been strong, will continue to be strong. They'll probably grow 11-13% depending on the company. TVS Motors continues to take market share. Bajaj will join the party. And on the other hand, CVs have been weak. The reason they've been weak is, we were just talking about the corporate capex cycle, which has not yet picked up. So until that picks up, CVs are unlikely to show any positive growth. So which means, the Tata Motors CV portfolio or iShares CV portfolio, all these will continue to fall. And they'll probably fall about anywhere between 5-6% volume wise until at least for the next 2 quarters. So which means hopefully by the time you hit February, March of next year, then we will see some kind of traction. So still buy two-wheelers, still stay away from the commercial vehicles companies. Maybe you can look into a little bit of Ashok Leyland. And Bajaj Auto, again a two-wheeler. Tractor sales have still been weak. So, M&M kind of still stay away. On the other hand, Escorts is now morphing into a different company. They're getting into lots of other products, and that will benefit Escorts. So maybe can look at Escorts.
Chakri, I was just looking at the 3-month performance simply because we are sitting on 2nd of September. There are only 2 indices that have lost ground. The Nifty PSU Banking Index down 6%, and of course the Nifty Metals Index down about 4.5%. Otherwise, it's been a sterling show by Dalal Street. In these 2, where probably smarter investors would be hunting for value, are there any stocks that catch your fancy in the PSU banking basket and in the metals basket?
In the PSU banking basket, it's probably SBI and Canara Bank. These companies are likely to show very strong earnings, probably will beat expectations in the coming quarter. And the valuations are still very attractive for both these banks. The Canara Bank is well under book if you look at it in FY26, and SBI is probably about 1.2 times book. Both their loan loss provisions are very strong. NPAs are still very low, and all the demand from the government capex has been benefiting the loan growth of these two companies. So on the other hand, in metals, I think they will continue to be impacted by the Supreme Court mining tax until there's clarity. The industry, kind of hits back at Supreme Court decisions that there's some kind of a solution. And meanwhile, so companies which are not impacted, Hindalco, Vedant, not Hindalco, I think those kind of companies which will not suffer from the mining tax will start to benefit from the global uptick.
Okay, Chakri, another space that I wanted your attention is like a lot of companies now announcing bonuses. NBCC was the first one, then RIL gave that big announcement at the AGM as well. It will all start flowing in from the first week of September itself. How are you looking at the opportunities right there in front of investors? Should they be grabbing this with both hands?
Yes. RIL, I think, is a long-awaited capex cycle for its new energy business. We should pick up at some time now, hopefully. And if as and when and that will clearly pick up if it's a question of quarter or two delay, but that will happen. When that happens, if you fast forward about, let's say, 3 years out, the earnings profile of the Reliance Industries, you'll see at least 80% of the Reliance earnings comes from its O2C business. You fast forward 3-4 years later, at least 50% will come from the new energy business. And so when that happens, the company's EBITDA will kind of more than double. So which means the valuation is looking attractive.
Fair point. And Sakshi, I think one reason for this bonus announcement was that ahead of the IPOs of Reliance Retail and of course Reliance Jio, the company may want to, at least on the face of it, try to reduce the entry level for newer investors to come in. So 1:1, brings the price back to 1500, although it is just a capitalization of reserve. But we know how relatively low ticket item helps on the Lal Street. So at 1500, let us see how Reliance starts to move up again. It becomes a little more affordable. Still, it is up 21-22% over the last 1 year. But we've seen the returns that have come in the market, and perhaps a bonus will help RIL to again narrow that gap. Chakri, between the last time you came and today, there have been a spate of IPOs that have sort of put common sense on its head and mystified a lot of people as to what exactly is happening on the Lal Street, where you get subscriptions for an 11 crore rupee IPO topping 4,500 crores, and for a solar power manufacturer, solar power equipment manufacturer, the demand goes up beyond 1,20,000 crore rupees. What exactly is happening?
It's the good old greed and fear. So we are going through that greed cycle. So, lots of investors and India has seen, and this is not new. We've seen this in our just short careers over the last 25 plus years, several times, and they have several cycles. People come in, some of them make money, some of them burn money, some of them come back as a result and stay away, and that same thing is happening again. So I think, the word therefore is caution as a part of individual investors. It's not a regulation thing. One can choose or not choose to invest in an IPO, and it is risk capital. So when in a risk capital, you make or lose money. So now talking about Premier Explosives is a great, not Premier, the solar company is a great company, but the value, the amount of subscriptions are quite mind-boggling. the company is going to double its capacities from 2 gigawatt to 4 gigawatt in both cell and module. You will see that growth continuing not just for the company, for the industry for the next several years. So at a reasonable valuation, which this company will not list today, there is adequate space for growth.
Okay, Chakri, on the macro level, we also did see the GDP numbers come in slightly softer as well at 6.7%. Is it too early to pencil in a growth risk right there? Could it be just a quarterly weakness that we are looking at? Is it comfortable for you at 6.7%? How would the RBI, which was consistently looking at a rate cut possibility, will now move at this growth, muted, trend that has come in after the last quarter's stupendous move?
Good point. If you look at what Shaktikant Das has been very articulate about, is that, he's looking at both growth and inflation. So he's been one of those really top-class successful bankers, RBI central bank bankers around the world, who's done a fantastic job. India has probably had one of the best RBI governors in recent times. And I think, so therefore, he's very cognizant of this balance. They've seen this kind of slow, and also, thankfully, inflation is also slowing down. So combined with the US impending cut coming up very shortly, I think that tilts the favor in terms of, the balance on growth. So I think, there's nothing to be worried about yet, because you have the interest rate cuts, which will reinvigorate growth.
Right, we are just a couple of seconds away from the market open for Monday. Remember, 12 successive days of green on the Nifty, and today is the 13th day. 13th is also a Fibonacci number. Sakshi and I and the entire investing community is hoping that we'll have gains for the 13th day in a row, but we bring weak GDP numbers, a modest uptick in GST collections for the month of August, and at best a mediocre set of numbers from auto majors for the month of August. Let us see how markets move in today. Remember, Reliance should be a cornerstone for the Nifty till at least September 5th, when it decides on firming up its bonus issue. Okay, we are starting with a 350 point uptick. Sakshi, left to me, I would close the market now, send a ticket to Chakri, he'll come flying down by 3 p.m. We'll go for a wonderful round of Chola Bhatura, and then maybe look forward to the evening as well. 25,566, ladies and gentlemen, for you on the Nifty. Couldn't have asked for anything better. Let's look at what Reliance is offering. 1.8% higher, 54 rupees up, 3,075. It's a sea of green. Apart from Tata Motors, all 9 super index heavyweight counters are in the green. ICICI Bank 53 rupees higher, 1242. You have HDFC Bank 12 rupees higher, 1649. TCS a percent higher, 45.99. How about Infosys? Infosys is 21 rupees higher at 1960. Of course, such good things don't last. So Nifty is how should I say, slipping and adjusting to ground reality. Now let's look at how a change in Navratna status helps PSU companies. SGVN, hydropower maker, 8.7% higher, 145. This is the top gainer as far as NSE 500 is concerned, followed by Gujarat Gas, 10% higher, 667. No stopping Bharti Airtel, 5% higher. This will adjust lower. Railtel and NHPC, both companies along with SGN have been given Maharatna status, 4.9% higher on Railtel, NHPC 5% higher, Schneider Electric 4% higher, 864. I'll share some news on Schneider. It was in the early morning papers today. What else is buzzing? Let's very quickly get into FNO and then get back to Chakri. Okay, Gujarat Gas 5%, Persistent 4.1%, Biocon 3%, Mahindra and Mahindra 2%. Who are the losers? There's nothing to be afraid of in the markets. Maybe Muthoot Finance. No, this is also flattened out. Tata Motors 1.4% lower. Remember, the monthly numbers were a bit tepid. Let's get back to Chakri. Chakri, crude oil below 80. A very nice move coming into oil marketing companies. Any favorites here?
HPCL I think is still has that kind of valuation comfort, and I know the margins for all the companies have kind of narrowed down in the last couple of last 1 month or so. But I think that's kind of reflected in the GRMs actually contracting a bit. Now, as we go into the next couple of months, the GRMs will kind of start improving, as in the West, and that will kind of rub off as well as in the Singapore margins. So therefore, I think HPCL looks all right.
Chakri, how would you look at Gujarat Gas, which has now announced this merger of GSPC and GSPL into itself? Will it be value accretive, and how should investors be viewing this opportunity?
After this, because it will become the second largest gas trading company, and there will be presence both across the trading as well as the CGD segment. As a result of this, there will be a fairly big earnings upgrade for the company. And that makes the valuation very, very attractive at the current levels. On the longer term, what it does, but that's something which you can live with, is because of the trading business, it'll make the earnings very highly volatile. And therefore, the overall valuation multiple that you'll give the company will come down significantly. So net, I think you can buy it for a positional trade. Over term, you will give it a lower valuation than you gave it in the past.
Chakri, how are you seeing this sustained sell-off? I don't know whether this is a sell-off or is it continuous profit booking in defense counters. Some of the stocks have gone down 25-20%. Do they, stocks like Cochin, stocks like Garden Reach, do they provide an opportunity to get back in, or do you see more carnage ahead?
I think the stocks will do well longer term. Maybe just wait for some more time on the sidelines for the valuations to settle, because one of the unfounded fears is whether the order flow will stop after, let's say, after 3-4 years time, which is unlikely. You look at defense companies inside, outside whether within India or outside India, defense as a theme is on a growth path. Countries fighting with each other will keep the demand for defense high. And therefore, I think, both Bharat Electronics, Hindustan Aeronautics, or even the shipbuilders will do well, provided you let them settle a little bit. Right now, you can buy BEL and Hindustan Aeronautics.
Okay, we'll also welcome our other guest on board now. We are now joined by Vaishali Parekh, the Vice President of Technical Research and Analysis at Prabhudas Lilladher. Warm welcome to you, Vaishali. So good to have you with us. Another starting of a new week, a new month right there. What are the thoughts telling you on the markets for this new series and this new month, and any key stocks that you will be focused on this month?
Very good morning, all of you. Yes, market is giving us a good time, and I think the views still continues to be quite positive. So I would say, well, one has to have the levels right. So I would say 24,800 for this week would act as the support, and 25,500 would be the next resistance. Now, as far as Bank Nifty is also concerned, it's gradually coming out of the range. So, well, risk reward wise and level wise, I think the private sector banks, they do need to participate. So we are focusing on that. Besides that, of course, energy index, and like just before I joined, you were talking about OMCs. So Gas Authority of India, OMCs, they still look good. So yes, the focus is more on these stocks.
Okay. Good morning, Vaishali. A very warm welcome. As always, the markets are sort of appreciating this very sharp burst of liquidity that has come in over the last 5, 7, 10 trading sessions. Within the PSU basket, you've mentioned OMCs as one of your favorites. How about IT and how about pharma? What looks good within this landscape, which has really appreciated over the last 1 month or so? In fact, the rally on the Nifty is shouldered very ably by IT and pharma.
So I would say, IT sector has already done very well, and still there is no trigger for a reversal. But I would not recommend a new buy at this juncture. However, Wipro and Birlasoft, which I have been repeatedly mentioning, they still need to really buck up as far as we compare it with other stocks like Persistent, LTI, Mindtree, and so on. So these two stocks are technically well placed, and I think Wipro is gradually, so above 545, 550. We would then aim for a target of 580 to 600 levels, and likewise even Birlasoft needs to buck up. So these are the stocks in the front line. As far as cash counter is concerned, I think Tata Elxsi, Tata Technology we spoke about, and those two stocks are still promising. So these are the stocks that we would be focusing. Now in pharma sector, we have seen already a good run up, but my eyes are on Cipla, because Cipla, even if you see a monthly chart and a trendline breakout, is quite obvious above 1650. So if Cipla sustains above 1650, 1660 levels, I think this is ready for a new round of momentum going towards 1700 and higher.
Okay, got it. Well, the Nifty seems settled around 97 points higher to 25,333, and that could be another strong move and a record high that we could be looking at again in trade today. So a fantastic start to the week is what we are expecting. Stocks like M&M seem to be driving up 1.5% higher. Hero Moto also about 1.5% up. You also have Bajaj Finance up by 1%. Bharti Airtel, as was highlighted by Shail, is looking up. Within the OMCs, BPCL seems to be opening higher by about 1%. All the sectors could be opening up into the green, with the PSE index also about 0.5% higher. Pharma, as we have widely discussed, with both Chakri and Vaishali, these are the spaces that seem to be moving up as well. Chakri, coming to you, I want to ask you on Bajaj Finance and on Bajaj Finserv. Incred came out with a report with a buy call on Bajaj Finance and a 9,000 rupee target price as well. They do believe that one is an expected positive surprise by way of better than expected revival in rural India and listing of the housing arm and comfortable valuation, which they believe has added high conviction. How are you looking at these two stocks, which are at the brink of a turnaround, probably after a long haul of consolidation? And what could this new opportunity of the housing arm getting listed bring to both these stocks?
In case of Bajaj Finance, the housing arm valuation is fairly reasonable, and so when that happens, when the listing happens, so that will add kind of a good amount of re-rating to of course, the housing arm will do well, and that rub-off will happen on Bajaj Finance. Bajaj Finance, on the other hand, I think so that is the trade to play for. Now, once that split happens, then the other bit of Bajaj Finance, the valuation is still high. So I think it's more an event-based thing for the housing finance listing.
So Bajaj Finserv you didn't mention. What do you have to say on Bajaj Finserv?
That I will kind of stay away from, because there are still far more moving parts in that part of the business. Bajaj Finance is an easier business to deal.
Right, and we'll bring in Vaishali here. Bajaj Finance is around 7,246. It looks very good for the last 5, 7, 10 trading sessions. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, if there is one stock that has disappointed long-term investors as also traders on the long side, it's Bajaj Finance. Over a 1-year period, when the Nifty itself has appreciated more than 21%, Bajaj Finance is actually down 1.3%. Vaishali, what are the medium-term charts of Bajaj Finance telling you?
So I'm looking at the daily chart, and we are seeing a strong opening. So I think for now, 7,400 should be the resistance level. That's a level to watch. If we move past that, then it's ready for 75, 7,600. But for now, 7,400 can be expected.
Okay. Remember, this was the weakness that is reflecting on the charts. But if you look at the last, how should I say, 1 month kind of a picture on Bajaj Finance, it improves dramatically, up 5.5%. So ahead of the IPO of Bajaj Holdings, and of course Bajaj Housing, my apologies, and of course you had to be a Bajaj Finance or a Bajaj Finserv shareholder to get a confirmed shareholder allotment for Bajaj Housing. That is what beefed up the stock over the last maybe 5, 7, 10 sessions. Vaishali, Bajaj Auto, what are the charts telling you?
Yes, so Bajaj Auto also now is getting into the new price territory, already overbought. So I would say not a fresh buying opportunity, but continue holding. This can go towards 12,000.
Vaishali, how are you looking at these PSU names now which have got the Navratna status, SJVN, NHPC, RailTel? Already the indication is that they will be opening, with a positive reaction to the news. But can these stocks be still bought?
So SJVN, actually, if we speak about, the long-term trend is pretty much intact. We've seen a minor consolidation right now. So if 130 levels are maintaining as support, I think this stock needs to move above 145, 150 to look for higher targets. So SJVN, yes. The other one you spoke about is
RailTel.
Yes. So RailTel also, I mean, last week we were seeing that there was some momentum taking place in all the rail stocks, and today also we are seeing that it is opening strong. So I guess the cluster of support is at 490 levels. So above that, if it sustains, this can go towards 600. So yes, the view is positive for RailTel as well.
Okay, a very quick view on Indigo before markets open. Vaishali, we are having a record high on the Sensex, the Nifty, the Midcap index, IT and Pharma. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yes, so Indigo also, I think 5,000 should be the near-term support target, and above that, let's have a relook. But for a trader's perspective, 5,000 should be the level to be.
Okay, Escort's numbers have just come in, and they are higher for the month of August as far as tractor sales are concerned. Let me just give you a very quick peek into them. I think 5,600 is what the number is that's screened on my face. Yes, 5,614 units versus 5,593 units in the year ago month. So that's a bit good news, but the markets have opened. Okay, 73 points higher, ladies and gentlemen. Very quickly, we'll get into the top index heavyweights and start with the one that is showing the green tick. Taking it away, the Bajaj twins, Bajaj Finance 1.2% higher, 72.87. Bajaj Finserv a percent higher, 18.03. What is Reliance doing? Flat, 2 rupees lower, 3 rupees lower, nothing to be worried about. HDFC Bank 4 rupees lower, Tata Motors 14 rupees lower. Tata Motors is actually reacting to its mediocre set of numbers on monthly sales. What else is clicking in the green? Let's look at the IT space. Nothing is stopping TCS. 20 rupees higher, 45.74. How about Infosys? 1947 rupees for you, 5 rupees higher. Banks are in fine shape. ICICI, Kotak, SBI in the green, 4, 7 and 2 rupees higher. And of course, who can stop L&T? 12 rupees higher, 37.16. A very quick peek into what NSE 500 is telling us. Okay, Gujarat Gas taking it away, 8% higher, 658. RailTel is now a Maharatna, 3% higher, 508.75. SGVN ditto Maharatna, 3.7% higher. NHPC ditto Maharatna, 3% higher. What else is clicking? You have a strong move coming in on Radico Khaitan, 2.2% higher, 1986. Hero Motors 2.3% higher. Let's look at the auto space. I want to see what Maruti is doing. Remember, the numbers were modestly higher. Maruti flat, 12,402. Hero Motors is the top gainer, 2.1% higher. TVS Motors taking it away, very strong numbers, 2848, beats estimates. That is how the markets are at the moment. A very quick look into what mid caps are doing in terms of most actives. Okay, I think Gujarat Gas is something that we need to check with Vaishali. Vaishali, 8.5% higher, Gujarat Gas 661. Is it overdone? Should we enter at current levels or should we avoid?
I think already so very high. I think it should not be bought at these levels. Wait for a dip, and that would be an ideal.
Chakri, let me come to you. I want to get a sense on the insurance space. We haven't spoken about that. HDFC Life up 1.3%. LIC also picking up pace as well. What's happening within the insurance space? Are you looking at this favorably at this point?
Insurance space, we're kind of staying away for the simple reason that much of what you're seeing, the price stock reactions is because of the price rises that have been announced by the industry. But we don't think that's adequate for the margin improvement to happen, nor earnings to accelerate. This will be big. There have been increased costs for the industry, and to account for those costs, they've kind of increased the premiums. So in light of this, I think, whatever small trade was there has been done.
Okay, got it. Well, another space that you should be watching out for is the mid-caps. Apart from the Nifty and the Sensex, what's also opening at record highs is the mid-cap index as well. Within the mid-cap space, of course, insurance, something like I highlighted, has been up and about. You also have stocks like, several other stocks within the mid-cap basket that are now buzzing in trade. The index is up by about 0.2% higher. Let's look at some stocks. SJV and NHPC, Gujarat Gas was newsbound. Kalyan Jewelers is up and about 2.7% higher. JSW Energy, Dalmia Bharat, Max Healthcare, Fortis Healthcare within the healthcare pack, Mankind Pharma. That's what's picking up pace. Let's get Vaishali to talk about this pharma and healthcare space. You talked about Cipla, Vaishali. How about these hospital stocks? Are they also looking attractive?
I think so, because overall this sector on the whole is doing very well, so they should continue doing well.
And where would you keep your focus?
Well, my focus is more on Apollo Hospital and Max.
919, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a decent start. Let's start with the IT index. 290 higher. 4,000 is 43,000 is breached, ladies and gentlemen, a fresh high for you. Look at how the markets are reacting to the GDP numbers, which have been modest. In fact, there has been a slowdown in the GDP, but nothing, absolutely nothing is troubling Dalal Street. So far, 1336 stocks are in the green, 844 in the red. We track 19 indices for you. About 15 are in the green, led by IT, FMCG, energy and pharma. Let's look at the energy space. Out of the 10, 8 are in the green, and I'm very keen to look at what BPCL and HPCL are doing. Let's get Vaishali into the conversation. Vaishali, BPCL in particular, how do you see the charts? And what are they telling you at record highs?
So I think if we look at BPCL, of course it is surging very well. But if you see the monthly chart, I think gradually we are still aiming for a target of 380 to 400, though it is overbought. But we do have our projection of 380 to 400 from here on. So yes, the view is positive. New buying should be in decline, but to those who have already held should continue holding at the trailing stop.
Okay, got it. I'll ask you, Chakri, as far as the two-wheeler space is concerned, between Hero, Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors, where would you tilt more? Or maybe Ola Electric?
Ola will just stay away for some. Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors. I think the business momentum is so very strong. And they're doing well both in the EV space, where they're competing and taking market share away from Ola. In the last 2 quarters, Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors has increased its market share. Ola has lost market share. And their regular business also, they're doing well. So I think it's these two.
Okay, got it. Vaishali, coming to you. The oil and gas space is further picking up pace. Where else would you keep your focus beyond the names that you've talked about?
So I would talk about Hindustan Petroleum. If you see, it has just recently given a breakout above 415 levels. and it is sustaining well above. So I think a similar view, it could go towards 480 levels.
Okay. I think, Sakshi, we also need to focus on stocks which will now be a part of the fresh FNO list after SEBI tweaked its guidelines, and two of them are right at the top. Actually, three of them: Zomato, Geo Financials, and of course Mazgaon Docs. Mazgaon we won't touch because there is a lot of pain there. But let's start with Chakri. Favorites here, Chakri, in terms of super long-term investment, Geo Finance or Zomato? What would you prefer? Getting cheaper finance or getting food on your table without moving a muscle?
I think cheaper finance, which is the Geo Financial. They have lots of legs of growth, and you need money to finance for the food to come on table. So the financiers are clearly the place to be.
Okay, let's get the lady into the conversation. Vaishali, ordering seamlessly food that you don't have to cook, or getting cheaper finance? What looks good on the charts?
Well, both are good. We need both. So I think Zomato also has corrected quite well. After a bit of a corrective move, I think it's ready to be at good levels to accumulate. But I think even if it goes to 230, it does not damage the trend. So I would say accumulate from here on. 230 should be the level that should be respected for the trend to continue. And the other stock that you asked me is 1 minute. Just have. So I would say yes, go for both.
Zomato and Geo Finance, actually.
Yes, Geo Finance also, there is a lot of scope on.
Okay. And before I just hand it over to Sakshi, Sakshi, I'll just mark one: Bajaj Auto, a change in digit again. This is, I think, for the first time I have seen this kind of a rapid move. 11,126 for you in the futures, and without a doubt, this has been one of the shining stars of the Nifty and of the auto space over the last 1 year, up a whopping 136%. It's difficult to take a call now, but let's leave it to the experts. To you first, Vaishali, Bajaj Auto.
I think my view remains the same. Well, continue holding. This can go towards 12,000, and that's about it.
In fact, the numbers have come in for Bajaj Auto. Let me just quickly read out. For the total sales, it's improved 16% to 3.97 lakh units. And when we look at the CV numbers as well, that's also seen an improvement as far as the commercial vehicle part is concerned. Exports have risen by about 5% to 1.4 lakh units as well for the company. And when we look at the total sales, of course, that's come in at 3.97 lakh units versus an expectation of 3.77 lakhs. Exports have increased. Three-wheeler sales have improved by 11% to 62,626 units. So that's another number that's coming in. And domestic sales have improved 24% as well. 2.5 lakh units for this one. That's pulling up the stock higher in trade. You clearly talked about Bajaj Auto as one of your preferred names, Chakri, within the two-wheelers. Do these numbers further enthuse you?
Indeed, I think these are companies that have done exceedingly well. They'll continue to do very well. The only thing that you need to keep watching for is the market share gains. Volume growth is an industry thing, so market share gains. They're extremely well positioned in terms because they already have an existing distributorship, dealership, mechanics, service centers, etc., etc. So they have that advantage over the newer players.
Sakshi, let's just pay a little more attention to Bajaj Auto. You've mentioned this very, very strong beat on the numbers. Remember, the estimate was 3,77,000 units to be sold in August. The numbers turned out at 3,97,804. Look at the Bajaj Auto chart. Over the last 7 trading sessions, it's green, green and nothing else. As of August 20th, the price was at 9,767 and now it's at 11,1112. Remember, the listing of Ola actually has given a market value to the EV business of the listed players, which is Bajaj Auto, Hero Motors, and of course TVS and Eicher. One more important point, till about 3 days ago, the management of Bajaj Auto said that in this festive season, they will want to see sales of 1 lakh EVs a month. So those are the 2 or 3 things that are of course triggering this very, very sharp move. And about 4 months ago, when Bajaj had actually come out with a buyback at 12,000 rupees, the management did say to a media organization that they feel the true value of their stock is somewhere like 12,000 rupees, and at that point of time the stock was 8,000 or 9,000 rupees. So a fantastic run up that we've seen on Bajaj Auto. Sakshi.
All right, let's get some other pockets as well. The Adani Group stocks are actually climbing today. Adani Green Energy 2.3% higher in trade. Adani Ports is up in trade as well. Adani Power, Ambuja Cements is also ticking higher in trade. The group, as a whole, Adani Energy Solutions, Adani Power, all of them are ticking higher in trade. Let's get Chakri to help us understand how to look at this pocket. This time around, Hindenburg 2.0 turned out to be a damp squib. Nothing happened really as far as the Adani Group stocks are concerned. But how are you looking at the space overall? Why is it still, not able to climb the way the markets are reacting? It's not actually reached back, with full fervor, with the kind how it was moving before even Hindenburg won. How long will it take for it to recoup those levels?
No, I think they will recoup those levels because, Ambuja, for instance, a very valuable player, market leader, kind of dictating the terms today of the Indian cement industry. Ultratech is actually following in catching up with Ambuja's moves. So in this whole process, I think Ambuja will be a winner. Second is Adani Ports, clearly the market leader in ports business, and both domestically and also expanding its footprint outside India. And as India's growth picks up both import export, the company will do well. Adani Energy is something which is clearly a more longer term play for the growth coming into the future. So I think clearly they're all very valuable companies.
Okay, got it. Let's mark GSPL. Remember, I shared this news on Gujarat Gas. We've been focusing on how Gujarat Gas has been moving on the merger of both GSPL and GSPC with itself now. GSPL is now the top traded counter as far as the NSE 500 is concerned. You can see a 4.5% uptick at 462. Let's get Vaishali into the picture. Vaishali, we did discuss Gujarat Gas. How about GSPL?
So I think GSPL also has done a one-way rally right from around the 320 levels. So I would say let's wait because the trend is very intact. I mean, continue holding. This can still go higher towards around 480 to 500.
Okay, got it. So that's the move that's being seen. In fact, the volumes is 600 crores. Shell tells me it's a record high right there. So it's a strong move. And Gujarat Gas also now up at a 10% circuit right there. 667.6 for Gujarat Gas. Keep an eye out on this space. We will be continuing to focus on how this space develops even going forward from here. Remember, Antique raised Gujarat Gas's target price to 726 in their report today after the merger has been announced, and Aquarius has also upgraded the stock to add with a target price of 667, which it has reached right now, and they believe it's a well thought out merger and will benefit the company as the second largest gas trading company going forward from here. So keep an eye out on these spaces too. What else is moving? It's the FMCG space. Let's get in Chakri to address this space as well. We've discussed the export oriented defensives, IT and pharma. How about the domestic oriented FMCG play right here? We are hearing consistently that the rural demand is now on a recovery path. Monsoons have been pretty good as well. So how would you look at the FMCG play? Good time for us to accumulate them?
You're right in terms of, the monsoons have been good, the rural is recovering. But, maybe you can buy companies like Varun Beverages or, maybe Tata Consumer, but not Hindustan Lever and ITC. Yeah, for the simple reason that, yeah, they're great companies, but at an expensive valuation with no real kicker to growth. Their volume growth is not coming. So it is more Warren Beverages and Tata Consumer.
Okay, we'll again mark Gujarat Gas here, ladies and gentlemen. The circuit is at 697. Why I mentioned this circuit, apart from the very sharp rally that we've seen, at the moment up 12%. And just look at the kind of move that has come in. Already at 932, we have 4 times the 5-day average traded, which is 68 lakhs, a record high, and probably there is more to go. And this is where Vaishali steps in. I'll take back my earlier statement, Vaishali, on trying to chase momentum. Let's now look at the medium term charts of Gujarat Gas. What are they telling you?
They're on a verge of a breakout above 690. If it sustains, and of course, as you said, volume is exceptionally high, this can go towards 700.
Okay, very quickly, 933, I'll mark the record highs in the market. So many of them. GSPL and Gujarat Gas we've discussed. Bajaj Auto we've marked. Okay, HCL Tech, HPCL we've marked. Lupin, 1/3% higher, 2246. We've been marking this repeatedly. And of course, bringing in the flag bearing stocks from the auto sector, TVS Motors. No stopping this one. The August sales were 13% higher over the year ago number, and that was somewhere like 78,690. No, TVS was 3.9 lakh units versus 3.45 units as far as prices are concerned. And of course, so many of the pharma stocks at record highs: Sun, Aurobindo Pharma, Cipla, and Glenmark. Remember, Vaishali started her conversation with Cipla when she came in. Apart from these, you have Mankind Pharma, Lupin, and of course ICICI General Insurance that are at record highs. Sakshi.
Okay, got it. Let's also get in fact, we'll thank you, Chakri. Thanks for being with us on this very special show, and for sharing such wonderful thoughts and ideas. Yes, Shail, you had to say something?
Yes, for Chakri, of course, the weather's improved dramatically here, Chakri, over the last 15 days or so. So Sakshi and my invitation remains.
Absolutely, thank you.
A round of Chola Bhatura across Delhi, and of course, all the wonderful foods that Delhi has to offer. Vaishali is also invited, but I'm sure she's a very meager eater. But we'll give you company, Chakri. So looking forward to your presence in Delhi. And we have a wonderful show called Bulls and Bites, which we talk about food and all things good in life, as also markets. Looking forward.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chakri. Okay, we'll again focus on the markets now. Some profits being shaved off. Let's see which are the pockets which are seeing some pressure now. Metals, pharma, PSU banks, consumer durables, realty, auto, and even the infra space has slipped into the red. What's holding up? It's the FMCG space, oil and gas, IT. Small caps still doing holding up about 2/10% higher in trade, and within the banking space you have private banks and the financial services that are still holding up as well. Definitely, when we look at the F&O space, there are some more move that's coming in beyond the stocks that we've already discussed, like Gujarat Gas, Hero Moto, etc. So we have MCX that's climbing up 3.2% higher in trade. Let me get Vaishali to now talk about this capital markets related space, which has again shown us some bounce. Where would you keep your focus? Where do you see outperformance within this pack continuing? We've seen CDSL, BSE, broking houses companies, AMCs also showing us some upticks in the recent times. Where would you keep your focus here, Vaishali?
So I would say, of course, as you mentioned, CDSL, BSE, they are all doing very well. So I think these are a must-have stocks in your portfolio. So, for now, they are taking a breather. But currently, what I'm looking at is, look at Shriram Finance, look at Axis Bank, look at IndusInd has given a strong opening. So these are the stocks right now, and along with that, even the insurance stocks, SBI Life, they all are doing very well. So these are the stocks that I would be focusing on.
Okay, got it. IT space is ticking higher now, about
we also
0.7% up. Yes, Shail.
Yeah, please continue, Sakshi. I'll mark it a little later, no issues at all.
So HCL Tech is the one that's picking up pace, 1.3% higher. L&T Technologies, Persistent, Tech Mahindra. Mid-cap versus the large-cap IT space stocks, how are you placed right now, Vaishali?
So I would say in the front line, I mean, I would now look at HCL Tech, which is doing well. It has also given a breakout. It is surging high. So yes, that is the stock which I'm looking at.
Sakshi, I'd like to mark Globus Spirits. A block deal happened on Friday. 2 lakh shares were purchased by Motilal Oswal fund, and this is doing dramatically well, about 4% higher today. And if you look at the 5-day change, it's already 25%. Vaishali, in high spirits is Globus. What are the medium term charts telling you? The all-time high is somewhere like 1650.
So yes, now I'm looking at the weekly chart because we've already seen a good run up begun in this stock, and the weekly chart, it has come out of its long consolidation and sustaining well above 1050 levels. So I think the first target that one can look for is 1300. From there on, if it sustains, then well, we can have a relook at these levels. So I mean, targets of 1600 and so on. So it's a positive bias for now.
Yes, please do keep these block deals in mind. Remember, they trigger a fresh start very often, is what I have observed over the last many days. Remember the block deals in PB Fintech. Remember the blocks in Indigo. Remember the blocks in all quality stocks that we've seen over the last 6, 8, 10 months. A fresh person comes in with a lot of expectation. And of course, let's hope that the company delivers us this well. This is not a recommendation to buy Global Spirits. This is just a trend that has been offered, visible over the last so many days. I think, Sakshi, today we'll have a blowout on the auto index, because joining this party of Bajaj Auto, TVS, and of course Hero Motors is now Eicher Motors, when the numbers themselves have not been anything worth to talk about. Let's look at the Nifty Auto Index. For the moment, this is rallying for the, how should I say, the fifth day in a row. The all-time high is 26,848, which we saw on 1st of August, and a very smart move coming in. Eicher, to you, Vaishali, anything that catches your fancy in this chart?
So Eicher, along with the other two-wheelers, I think Eicher is doing quite well. So it needs to move past 500 levels to look for higher targets. But till then, I would say 5,000 would be the level to watch for.
Okay, got it. So that's the move that we are expecting. Let's again look at the
We're nearly
broadest
there, yes.
index. Let's look at the broadest market now to see where the momentum is now building up. Several interesting names that are joining the party. So you have from the auto ancillary space also, Munjal Auto is up 11.5% higher in trade. So that space is also ticking up. Anything specific within the auto ancillary pack, Vaishali, that is looking interesting to you? Vaishali, anything within the auto ancillary pack? Vaishali, could you hear me? Okay, I guess my voice is not reaching to Vaishali at this point in time. I wanted to ask her on the auto ancillary pack. Several other names that are joining the party within the broader markets is Pfizer. You have that's up 5.2% higher. Pudumji paper. So again, the focus shifting to these paper stocks as well. You have Johnson Controls, Hitachi Air. That's also up by 6.5%. Godrej Agrovet, Aegis Logistics. That's also moving up. Arihant Capital Markets, again from the capital markets theme that we've been discussing, is moving up again. Munjal Auto is moving up. I wanted to ask you, Vaishali, what is looking good to you within the auto ancillary pack?
I think have a look at Jamna Auto. Jamna Auto was showing good strength. Well, no, it's fizzled out. I think Minda Corp should be good. And well, I don't have anything coming on my radar right now. No, nothing right now.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, 9:42. Vaishali, thank you so much for your time on this Monday morning. Of course, we'll remember Cipla from your end, and we also await your presence in Delhi for a fabulous round of Chola Bhatura. And for you especially, we'll also throw in a bout of chart, which you'll enjoy very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very, very strong move that is coming into the markets. The IT index is 267 points higher, a fresh record. The Nifty 500, which I watch with great interest, in the green, 23,786. The Nifty 50, a strong move, 78 points higher, 13th day of gains. And what a wonderful session to welcome the newest IPO in the market. We have Mr. Pradeep Kumar Agarwal, Chairman of Bazar Style Retail, and Shreyans Surana, MD of Bazar Style Retail, joining us to discuss this wonderful IPO that is there in the market. Let me just give these details to you. The total IPO size is 835 crores, of which the offer of sale is 687. A fresh issue is for 148 crores. The price band is 370 to 389 rupees. This is a profit-making company, open for subscription till September 3rd, and the purpose for this issue is repayment of borrowings. Namaste, Mr. Agarwal and Mr. Surana. A very warm welcome to you. How do you intend to expand the reach of Bazar Style over the next 1 year or so?
Thank you. We intend to grow in the future at the rate what we have grown in the past years. We have grown in at the CAGR of 33% from FY22 to FY24.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, good morning. Sakshi this side. I wanted to also get a sense of your entire objective of launching this IPO. A large part of this IPO, upwards of 600 crores, is an OFS, and you're raising in the fresh issue about 150 odd crore rupees as well, which you've already indicated that you will be using for repaying the debt. One, what will be the debt status after you repay funds from the fresh issue? And going forward from here, what will be your aim and ambition of launching this IPO, since a large part is only going to the selling shareholders?
Morning, Sakshi. Basically, we already raised a pre-IPO of 37 crores on 3rd of August. And this is 148 crore primary issues. And all the fund of primary issues will be used for the debt repayment. And our company will be debt-free after this. And basically, OFS is to give the liquidity to the existing investor and create the value of Style Bazaar in the market.
Right. This is, ladies and gentlemen, a company that was backed by the late Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, and of course is likely to make a debut in the market about 2-3 days from now. Pradeep ji, if you look at the price to earnings ratio at which the IPO has come in, This is 132 and the price to book is 8 times. How do you sort of defend this lofty valuation and a price of about 389? Are you leaving something for the retail investor to make on the table, or is this just an exit for existing investors to sort of make a killing and then maybe hold the baby for retail investors? How do you defend this?
No. Our existing investors are just selling their 50% of their existing holding. Rekha Jhunjhunwala ji also selling just 50% of her holding, and other market investor also, and some of the investor is not selling any shares. And the P is just equal to, you can say, if we compare with the peers, it is more or less equal or less than of the peers, to the peers. And in future, investor will get benefit from the investment in our company.
Okay. Mr. Agarwal, just get a sense of, your expansion plans. You are largely present in East India, West Bengal and Odisha is where your large presence is, but you've also expanded to 9 states. Going forward from here, how are you looking at the geographical presence in the next 1 year? How many stores will you be adding? And are there any newer product categories that you will be getting into?
Yeah. Basically, we are presently in 9 states, and our model is a cluster-based model. We just entered into a state and deep penetrate in that states, because tier 2, 3, and 4 is our market, our focused market. Because in FY24. Out of the total penetration of organized retail, there was 30% was the only contribution of the organized retail. So we basically go deeper into the one state, then we move to the other state. We just understand the taste of the local people first, what their taste, and accordingly we create the market there, so that every person, wherever they go, they feel that the Style Bazaar is there. Style Bazaar create the brand there. That is our target.
Okay, let's get Mr. Surana into the conversation. Very warm welcome to you. Mr. Surana is, of course, the Managing Director of Bazar Style Retail. Mr. Surana, congratulations, and let's hope you have a stunning debut in the market. But please help us with the expansion plans. 9 states as of now. You have about 162 showrooms, if I'm not wrong, of which the last 85 came in the last 2 years. If you could just chart an expansion in terms of how physical stores will rise, because that's the key to both revenue and profit and profitability.
First of all, thank you so much for inviting us to your show, and thank you so much. I hope that our IPO shines. In terms of expansion from FY17 to FY24, we have grown at a CAGR of 26%, making us one of the fastest growing value retailer in East India, and we also have the largest trade footprint in East India. In terms of store expansion, I would just like to say that in last 3 years also we have grown at 32%, and we would intend to continue this momentum going forward also. We would hope that we would continue this momentum in terms of store expansion. In terms of geographical expansion, I will say that as we are following a cluster-based approach, in which we go deep into a state, explore the benefits of that state, understand the catchment, understand the assortment, and increase the revenue and profitability both on that state. So we continue to grow into the similar trajectory where we are. So right now where we are is 9 states, in which 4 states are core states for us, which are Bengal, Assam, Bihar, and Odisha, where we have got a very decent presence. But still there are lots of empty areas which are still available, where we would like to penetrate in a deeper manner, so that we can achieve the economies of scale and increase the profit margin also. And apart from that, UP and Jharkhand will be the focus states for the future growth.
Okay, do tell us, Mr. Surana, warm welcome, Sakshi this side. I wanted to understand how is the competition on ground in the markets that you are in currently. We understand, B-Mart also operates in the similar background and the area as well. Do they also have stores at the same areas and locations that you have? Also, Trent is widely moving forward with its Zudio stores, and we've seen, stunning performance for Trent as well on stock markets. How are you looking at this increasing competition, and how will you be scouting for market share there?
So I will just explain two ways. The first thing about the Trend and the Zudio. So Zudio has changed the landscape of value fashion retailing all across. So it has created a place for himself as one of the best value fashion retailers in India as a nation. But their approach is different than us. They are targeting only Gen Z, below 30 years old consumer, and in that too also they are not addressing the family audience. They are again targeting menswear and the ladies wear, specifically to the western wear portion. Whereas in our scenario, the product assortment is developed on a different side. So we are like Gen Z plus family. So we have the product assortment for across so we have got kids section, we have got ladies ethnic, we have got sari, we have got other lifestyle related categories like plastic wear, bed and house linen, imitation jewelry, cosmetic sections. There are lots of things which are differentiated between us and Zudio. Now coming to the V-Mart thing, yeah, V-Mart has got a lot of competition. They are with us in a lot of geographies, but because the market is so big and the way the unorganized market is shifting towards the organized section, I think plus the way the merchandising, we have got 57 people team in our merchandising section who are working day in and day out, and they are creating lots of designs. You can say that with the fashion building, with the experience that we are giving to the tier 2, tier 3 consumers in terms of air conditioned mall, in terms of exchange facilities, trial room facilities, we are able to bring that traction to our stores. Because post-COVID, what we have seen is that every consumer, whether it's in tier 2 or tier 3, everyone wants comfort. Everyone wants the comfort to of all these facilities which are not available in tier 2, tier 3. And Zudio is penetrating in majorly in city and tier 1, whereas we are in tier 2, tier 3. And still there is a lot of room for other players also who can join us in the unorganized sector. But I think we have to have a strong base or strong tech-oriented organization in which you can build that process along with the other tech so that you can create this room for the faster expansion.
Right. In fact, Sakshi, there's a very interesting report which has come on India retail, where the lower part of the pyramid, the next 30 cities, the next 1,000 cities after maybe the top 50 is where the cream of the pie lies. Somewhere like $400 billion worth of retail happens in this market on an annual basis, growing by about $50 billion. So needless to say, Bazar Style, and of course so many names that you mentioned, V2 Retail, V-Mart, etc. are moving in the right direction. It is only a matter of time when the entire Indian middle class shifts from mom and pop Perchunia shops to retail in terms of their buying patterns. Mr. Surana, how do you see your private labels? I believe the contribution to sales from private labels in FY22 was 25%, and now it stands at 38%. How do you see this segment within Bazar Style growing over the next 2-3 years?
So you rightly said in FY22 we were at a 23-24%, but as of now FY24 we are at 38% of our revenue coming from private label, which is 360 crores from private label. And in last 3 years we have grown at a 64% CAGR in private label. And what I believe is that private label will be one of the key triggers to increase our gross margin. So it will be one of the key triggers which will help us in gross margin expansion. And in terms of private label, we have got 10 private labels for across the genders. So for right now, Square Up, one of our private label which represents men's and boys category, is an 112 crore revenue brand. Now, what we exactly do in private label is that we have got 57 people team for sourcing, buying, and designing So they work, as I said, they work on the trends, they work on what the big brands are selling, and try to create those articles at a lower price MRP. And as you rightly said, that the bottom of the pyramid, there's a huge scope. There's one interesting story that I was just to add. So the first time when we met Rakesh New of Rare Enterprise, when he invested, so he was of this view that in next 10 years, this decade will belong to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And if you do all the things correctly, you can make it a very big model. And exactly that we are seeing that there is a huge room. And plus, as the internet penetration is increasing, people want more and more fashion. The buying pattern has also changed between me and my father also, for example. So he used to buy 2 shirts in a quarter, maybe I am buying 4 in a month. So that way the fashion is behaving very differently, and fashion is just not a style statement, it has become like a confidence statement also. So people want to buy more and more.
That's very true. And very interesting anecdote that you have shared with us as well. On that point, we are actually heading into the festive season as well. How are you looking at the demand emerge in these tier 3, tier 4 cities as well going forward? Because you know why I'm asking this is so far in the first half of the fiscal year, we've actually seen muted demand. That's what most of the retail players have highlighted in their earnings, etc. Or on their volumes, on their margins too. What do you foresee going forward from here? Are there any green shoots for the rural demand picking up?
I will say reverse of that. I think 9.5% was an L12 growth for us in FY24. And even if you see the comparison between our peers also, because I cannot mention the numbers of our Q1, but if you see even the numbers of our peers, which is V2 and V1, they have done a fantastic L12 growth in Q1. They have shown the results. The thing is that the value telling is growing very strongly across, and we are already prepared with our inventory built up for the upcoming festive season, because this segment tier 2, tier 3 are majorly driven from a festive point of perspective, because they buy a lot during the festive period, and we have built our inventory, and we see we forecast that there will be a good demand in coming 4 months also.
Right. Before we let you go, Mr. Surana and Pradeep ji, one final question for you, Pradeep ji. So far, the offer for sale goes to existing investors, and the amount that you are raising will go to pay off debt. But for future expansion, will you require another round of funding? Pradeep ji, this is for you.
Yeah. In the FY24, we have a CFO of 111 crores. In future also, we have a very good CFO, cash flow from operations, so that we are able to grow our stores from the cash internal accruals itself. So we don't require to raise the in the future. We don't require the funds to raise in the future.
Okay. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Mr. Agrawal, Mr. Surana, for being with us on this very special edition, detailing for all our viewers your vision going forward from here for Bazar Style. We wish you all the very best for this ongoing IPO, and of course for the listing going forward. And once the company is listed, we'll be happy to have you back to discuss more numbers that you will be in a better position to discuss with us on the operational and the financial metrics as well. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to host you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, viewers, we will now start to wrap up the markets for the morning edition. We are at 25,298, 63 points higher. The markets are in fine fettle right now, 51,379 for the Nifty Bank. That's flattish with a positive bias. Sectorally, of course, the action is on FMCG, on IT, on the auto space, oil and gas, realty. These are the pockets that are showing us some interesting names as well. There are some pockets that have slipped below. So you can see metals, chemicals, PSU banks, consumer durables. These are the pockets that have actually slipped in trade, but it's no complaints right there because the markets are still hovering at record high levels, and we'll just see how the day really pans out going forward from here. Wrapping up at that, thanks from both Shell and B, but do stay tuned. This Monday has a lot more action for you to track throughout the course of the day with the way of IPOs. Daily calls will be back at 12 noon to answer all your questions as well, and some more interesting conversations throughout the day, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra, and this is a special edition where we are going to be focusing on the 2024 Hurun India Rich List, which is out, and there are a lot of interesting updates from this one, as this is the time in 2024 list when we found that Gautam Adani has topped India's Rich List. He's also replaced Mr. Mukesh Ambani in his riches. Gautam Adani and his family's wealth is now at 11.6 lakh crores, which is a 97% kind of a jump, and whereas we see Mukesh Ambani and his family's wealth is at 10.4 lakh crores, that's up 25%, and therefore you see